It's a great day to be a Coyote. Welcome, Coyote Nation, to another episode of Back to Pack Podcast, where we are going to be bringing you all of your favorite games, memories, and of course, discussion with our fellow Coyotes. As a disclaimer, we have no affiliation to the University of South Dakota. This is a podcast ran by fans for fans. The ideas and comments do not represent the university. Our opinions are our own. Be sure to find us on Twitter at BackToPackSD. With that being said, let's jump in. All right. I am super pumped about tonight. We've been teasing this for the last 2 weeks, saying we got something cooking, and we get to get that rolling, and we get to start off with JJ. So welcome, JJ. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me. It's good to be here, and yeah, I'm ready to get this rolling.
Man, we're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you. Honestly,
I'm
surprised we haven't done it sooner.
We got rolling, and then the season started, and we want to keep you guys laser focused. So we'll bug you guys after the season's over.
Exactly.
But no, I'm excited. What we're really planning on doing, we are looking at hopefully getting all of the seniors, especially the big ones, the big program builders, on a weekly basis. One coming up soon, we'll have Joey joining us, Lombard. Definitely our deforestation agent. Got to keep the trees protected from that guy. But this is going to be a fun opportunity. It gives fans a chance to interact with you a little too, JJ, ask some questions. But how have things been going? You were telling us you were up in the cities training. How's that been going?
I'm in Minneapolis right now, training with a few other Coyotes. And things have been great. We started at the beginning of January. So after this week, we'll be going on to week 4 already. But it's good. There's a lot of other guys from like different schools there. So there's a group of like 20 of us, maybe 25. And, it's actually a lot of fun just to, bond with those guys. It's almost the same as what it was like in our own locker room, joking around, making jokes, all that kind of stuff. But, it's cool just to also build those relationships and know that that's all over the country and not just like in one place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you recognize any names that are up there with you?
Sorry?
Do you recognize any names that are up there with you?
Yeah, I mean, we have Amar, he was a South Dakota State running back. We have, I think, one SEC guy. We have a few, like a Minnesota Duluth, Nebraska, Kansas State. Not guys that I was super familiar with beforehand, but again, it's cool just to be able to bring guys from all over the country and come together as one in that sense.
That's awesome. Hey, Jake, I just wanted to ask him real quick, how many days off did you get from when the season ended to when you got up there and got going?
A little less than 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think it came out to be exactly 13 days because I had to go back to Vermilion to unpack a few more of things from my room. And then from there, I just drove here. Instead of making like one continuous 14-hour drive, I was able to break it up a little bit.
Okay.
Nice. But yeah, no, I think what we can do, definitely want to touch on your time at USC, of course. I'm trying to get it up, Mitch. I can't get it up for the picture up that you sent us. But we did have your signing day picture, JJ, that we were going to pull up. So I wanted to touch on your recruiting side of things, just to give you a hard time. It's amazing how far you've come since then. You were a lot scrawnier than we remember.
That photo would have been gold. Dang it.
I tried. But then he was also here, so I wanted to be a surprise on that one too. I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure it out. But on the recruiting side, what was that process like for you?
It was in the fall of my senior year of high school. Our old tight ends coach, Coach Tyler Powpow. He was in that region, so he did like the Colorado recruiting, and he came to our school, I believe, once, and I was able to talk to him then and build what was the start of our relationship at that point in time. And then honestly, like my whole recruiting process overall was kind of like silent, in all honesty. I mean, I had a few like PWOs, and then the summer, it was actually my junior year summer, going into my senior year, I came to the South Dakota camp that they hold, and I went to a few others, like just in 1 week. I hit. Oh no!
There it is.
He goes, "Oh no!" He
There it
says.
is.
I didn't
Yes.
want to interrupt you on it,
Look
but
at
I
that.
figured it out.
The thing I hate about this picture is we did like all our pictures with like helmets on and everything like that. So I hate my hair in this. It looks like I'm parted both ways, but yeah, to say the least, I was definitely a lot more scrawnier then.
The pride of Ralston Valley right there.
Ralston Valley. Shoot. But going back to what I was saying about the recruiting, I came here, or I went to Vermilion for the camp, and funny thing is, at that camp, I did outside linebacker and a few like tight end reps because they had drills specific for each. And right after the camp, our old special teams coordinator and linebackers coach at that time, Rob Arich, came up to me after the camp with Coach Nielsen, and they offered me on the spot there as an outside linebacker. So
Interesting.
I kind of waited like a few months, a little bit before the season of my senior year, just to see if anything else would come in offer-wise, and nothing really did. And close to when I was going to commit, they called me up and was like, you know, we just had someone else take the linebacker position who committed, but we still want you on our team. So instead, we're going to offer you at tight end. And it was at that point, it wasn't a full scholarship. I think it was like 75 or something like that. But that was still like just from the relationships that I had with some of the coaches and like how communicative they were with me through that whole process made that seem right for me. So then I went ahead and I believe a week after or shortly after made the commitment to South Dakota.
That's
JJ,
wild.
did you, sorry, just a follow-up question. Did you have a preference on linebacker or tight end at that point, or were you kind of open to the idea of where certain schools kind of envisioned you at?
I was open to it, but I was definitely at that point in time probably more a defensive mindset player. Growing up and going through all youth league and stuff like that, and then not so much in high school. I loved the defense. That was my favorite part of football. And then through senior year, I was playing offense more, obviously receiver, a little bit of like tight end, because we opened up and spread our offense a lot more in the last 2 years I was there. So it was technically a receiver, but you know, it was, I really started to like the offensive side of the ball as well. But I mean, at that point in time in high school, you're able to play both ways. So it's not really a deal breaker at that point in time.
Heck, you could have went up for the Walter Payton and did a little Travis Hunter style, do a little outside linebacker and tight end.
There you go.
Well, funny thing with that was some of the conversation was when they offered me at outside linebacker was like, okay, you'll come in at outside linebacker, but potentially through a game, we could maybe get you a few reps at tight end as well. So, I mean, that would have been cool. Don't get me wrong, but I think everything worked out how it was supposed to.
For sure.
I'd agree with that, no doubt.
Absolutely wild to see. Just the alternate reality that could have been.
Right.
Do you know who that player was that took your spot at outside linebacker?
It was Vincent Starling.
Okay.
Which he left and was done playing football, I believe, after our sophomore year. So,
yeah, that's interesting.
I remember the name.
Dang. So speaking of Colorado, while we're here, I just want to mention a couple guys on our team because I think these guys know that I have a soft spot for Colorado guys. And so I just want to, we go down the list real quick, but like Mikey Munn, right? Like he's fresh out of Colorado, came as a freshman and contributed this year. You got a bunch of guys, Mason Cowgill, obviously you're familiar with him being in the tight end room. What can you tell us about him? Like, is he going to be up and coming? Is he going to be JJ 2.0 or what?
I mean, he most definitely has like the athleticism for it. And it's funny just to see all these young guys, not just from a tight end perspective, but receivers, linebackers, corners, safeties, all of it together. When they come in, they almost look like a newborn gazelle because like they're learning to walk, like everything's like turning in their brain from a mental aspect. And it's hard at that point in time because you're trying to prove to people that you should be there. But at the same time, there's so much going on and you're trying to show your athleticism while you're also trying to learn a whole offense. So it's just funny from that side of things. But I mean, a lot of these guys definitely have the athleticism and so much time to develop, to turn into great players. So I'm excited for him too, because I think he can be good.
That's awesome. And just a couple others, we got Caden Weatherby and Brendan. Is it Crispy or Crisp? He's a new guy too. Yeah. Okay. So he just came in as a freshman this year.
Yeah. And Jack Rons as well.
Yep. So a couple linemen there. And then the newest commit we've talked about on this show already, but Austin Majeski, what do you know of him? Anything?
I don't know really much about him at all, except that he's a great quarterback.
Okay. He broke pretty much every record in Colorado.
Right. Just from keeping up with the stats, obviously, and then watching some of his clips and stuff like that. I think he'll be a great addition.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want to thank you for helping build that pipeline, because I think you and a few others before you kind of started that, but now we're starting to see some more Colorado kids. And I think Colorado's kind of an untapped state, in my opinion.
Well, I was just going to say when I was in high school, there was definitely bias behind Colorado and like certain athletes coming out of Colorado just from like the recruiting aspect. So I'm glad to see that more and more attention is being drawn from there. Because when I first came in, I came in with one other guy. His name was Chase Lopez. And then we only had Elijah Reed at safety from there as well. So there was only three of us. And then the year after that, obviously, EJ was done. And then Chase Lopez, he quit as well. So I was, I think, the only one there for about a year.
Okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, Colorado, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses to the way the Buffs are going, especially with Dion. I don't see him staying too local. He's just going to chase his 4 and 5 stars. I think there's going to be a pipeline there to definitely tap into.
Yeah, unless he's coaching the Cowboys. Unless he's coaching the Cowboys here soon.
There you go.
That poverty program, I don't think. All right, so we can jump. We'll stop picking on you in your signing photo. We can jump to your time at USD. Honestly, you kind of threw me off because I didn't even think about you as the outside linebacker. Everybody just pictures you as the tight end. But through your time, I do want to ask, what would you say was your personal favorite game that you ever played, whether it was something you went off in or a situation?
I mean, this past year, the UNI game was super cool and super memorable. Okay. Solely of that one play with my hurdle. That was the first time I ever even attempted to hurdle somebody. But I mean, it worked out, and it's just funny in those scenarios because you're so locked in and there's so much like adrenaline pumping in your body that it's just like a second nature reaction. Like you don't think about it, it just happens. And I feel like that's kind of why. One, because obviously I thought it was cool. But but at the same time, like that went through my head and still goes through my head. Like I didn't even think about it. It again just kind of happened. So that, I mean, 2 years
He's watching
ago,
too many highlights of Travis. Like Travis is doing it practically
honestly,
every game.
he's been doing it the whole time. And then, I mean, I'd probably say the Youngstown State game 2 years ago at home. That one was electric, just because it was a good game overall. It was going back and forth, and then we won with the last field goal. I mean, there's so many to talk about. Even this year when I wasn't playing and was injured, like the North Dakota State game, that was wild. When we were younger, the South Dakota State Hail Mary game. There's, again, so many that are like just stuck in my brain, and it's hard to forget, and it's hard to pinpoint just one single game.
Hey, by the way, that Vermiracle cured Miles Harden. He's the one that was on crutches, and he's running in the back of the end zone.
That's right.
Yeah, the Vermiracle cured Miles
with the crutches.
With the crutches, that's right.
That was probably my favorite part of the entire highlight.
Honestly, and I'm pretty sure on the Sports Center they put a circle around him. They're like, "Who is this guy?" Like, I guess he's okay.
Yeah, he can walk again. Oh, that's so good.
Well, it's funny.
Meeting with.
I was going to say, it's funny too that you bring up those, those two moments in particular, right? The Hail Mary, and then the North Dakota State game. We were talking about. All of us have been fans of USD for a really long time, and it seems like some of the most memorable things that have happened in this football program have all happened recently, and that obviously coincides with how this whole program's been elevated to a whole new level, right? So, and a lot of that has to do with Bob and his leadership, and players like you that have really elevated this program, and so it's been super exciting the last 2-3 years to be a part of that, and big thank you to you for that. But the reason I bring that up too is obviously the big news that we talked about in our last show was Bob's retirement, and just kind of want to get your thoughts and maybe kind of reflection about Bob as a coach, but then also Travis as he steps into the kind of the head coach position.
Bob, he's so funny. He's strictly business. He's always on the sideline with his suit and ties. His vest occasionally.
Hashtag Bob out.
Hashtag Bob out. But he's funny. I mean, he's so down to earth. Everybody loved him on the team. He's just so funny to interact with, because he'll would be in the coaches' offices and he'll just walk by you and put his hand on your shoulder and be like, JJ, and then just keep walking. Like nothing wrong with it, but that's just why I love him. But no, always a great guy, like truly cares for like the well-being of his players and coaches, obviously. And I mean, he's been in that business for, I don't even know how long, 35, 40 years.
Like what, 32 and like 42 total, I think. 32 as a head coach.
42 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
I mean, he's just, again, super funny from that aspect, but it's also funny, after some of those big games, he comes into the locker room just super hyped and so happy, big smile on his face, and screaming and yelling, having fun with all of us. So it's fun to see that side of him as well, not just strictly the business aspect. And then from Coach Johansson coming into the position, I mean, being on offense, I didn't really experience him too much firsthand as like a coach from my perspective. I mean, I could hear him coaching other guys up, but I know he has a really great leadership role. And then also I do recall, I don't remember, may have been like 2 or 3 years ago, but Bob couldn't make our team meeting before the game. I think like the night before the game. So Coach Johansson took over that meeting, and everybody came out of that meeting like fired up, ready to go. And I think he just has a good side of like professionalism, and he knows what to say to the guys, to the team, to the coaches from that side of things. So I'm super excited for him. I'm super excited for the USD program. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
Man, that's awesome.
Well, and the funniest part is you still have a connection with one of the coaches getting a promotion as well, in Coach Morrison.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How's he handling that transition himself?
I honestly haven't talked to him since, solely because I was also moving out here. He was probably getting settled into that position, trying to figure out recruiting, coaches, just kind of everything all together. I am going to try and get in contact with him here soon, just as things kind of die down and once they announce everything as a team. But I'm super excited for him. I love Coach Mo. He's a great guy, and he's taught not just me, but like I feel like our whole tight end room so much, not just about like football, but also about like us as people as well. And his family too. I feel like that ties into who he is. His family is so great and so much fun, and they're all just so down to earth, so nice. But I'm super excited for him because he's been coaching a long time as well. I believe he's somewhere in like the lower 20s years of coaching, and he's been an OC in the past, O-line coach, all that kind of stuff. But from I feel like my personal side of things, I needed like more help with run blocking, and he really, really helped with my development from that aspect as well.
That's awesome. Hey, Jake, I want to take a timeout real quick and just say we're about 22 minutes in here. If there's any Coyote fans that are in the chat, go ahead and throw your questions out there. If you have anything for JJ, well, we continue on. We'll give you some time to put those in, and then we'll fire away. So put those in the comments if you would.
Yeah, JJ's never been interviewed by fans, so this could make it really interesting. Keep it PG, though.
As we said before, this is live, so we don't know what's going to come in. But
right.
Yeah, but we don't have too many rowdy ones out there. So
no, Yo fans that staying a little calmed down over there.
Yeah,
I'm a little surprised on him.
JJ, I have a question for you, which I'm sure Jake was probably going to get to this, but obviously, your focus now is training for the draft for the NFL prospect. Maybe give us a little insight of kind of what feedback. I'm sure you've gotten some sort of feedback from NFL scouts to this point about, a little bit about you and your game, and then also too of kind of what that prep work looks like for the combine and for the draft, and just kind of mastering your craft, if you will.
And honestly, from my experience so far with like the scouts telling you where you're at or kind of stuff like that, I haven't heard too much from them. I've had a few interviews and talked with a few teams and scouts, and they're truly trying to get to know who you are as a person, your roots, where you came from, like just specifics. Are your parents still get together? Do you have siblings? Did they play any college sports? Are they older, younger? Again, the kind of person that you are, and your upbringing through life, and how'd you get to this point in life, and your values and beliefs. And then obviously like a little board work talk as well.
Sure.
But that's the experience with the scouts. And obviously I have an agent right now. So like through this whole process, honestly, this fall was probably the busiest fall that I had, even though I was only in 3 classes, because I went into a master's, so I didn't have as big of a hefty schedule as I had in the past. But with like choosing a scout, my parents and I had weekly meetings, like Zoom meetings throughout the week and it was hard to manage and schedule, because we're trying to schedule with them, their availability, my parents' availability, because they work during the day. So it was always in the evenings between 5 and 8 p.m. that we are having these conversations and stuff. So it was hard to kind of juggle just all of it. There was just so much going on. We're learning new information, meeting new people, trying to gain the person's trust while also gaining their trust, because my future somewhat lies in their hands. So it was a lot of conversations, hard conversations as well. But from the agency standpoint, whatever, I chose my agency. They're Milk and Honey. That's what they're called. And then chose them. Right now, obviously, they helped me set up training, stuff like that. And then they were working on some sort of like Senior Bowl games. I hadn't heard anything with like the Hula Bowl. I was like next in line up for tight end, and obviously that didn't happen because that was a week or two ago. And then the East-West Shrine is, I believe, this weekend. And he said, like, I'm next in line for that. So if someone drops out or gets hurt, then maybe I have the potential to go, but still haven't heard anything from that aspect. And then, I mean, in the meantime, it's more just keep your head down and keep training.
Yeah. All right. So we did get our. Go ahead, Mitch.
I was gonna say it's crazy. Like from the NFL perspective, like they get really deep into like the psychology, like the mental side, and really like trying to crack open like people's lives, and because they can see, they have all the tape, so they can see, you know, the game side of it, but it's really like the mental side that they're really trying to get at. Like I've kind of noticed that the last couple of years, they're really going hard on that side of it.
And yeah, I took like a survey for one team. I think it was the Cowboys. And it was like a 15-minute just like survey, and they're asking about if you were in this like situation, what would your emotions be like? And pick the top 5 that represent you, and there's a list of 15. And it was just a lot of,
it's like psyche valves, man.
Exactly. So they want to again see your thought process and just see how you would react or act around certain people or situations. So it's super cool just to see it from that aspect as well.
Yeah, I mean, first time you get to see it, you don't really know too many pro players that go through it. So getting all this new stuff is got to be interesting. But we do have our first fan question in the chat here, and it is from Yote Fan. So he wants to know, will you be wearing a Yote shirt under your Vikings jersey when you play on Sunday?
If it was for the Vikings, I would love to. Honestly, wherever I get picked up, I'm cool with. But I always wear like an under padded shirt under my pads with like shoulder protectors and like little rib protectors. So maybe I can see if I can get something like embroidered or like printed on there that says Yotes on there.
There you go.
Because if I had it, I mean, yeah, who knows where you go. If you're in Miami playing, I don't want 3 layers on with a Yote shirt, that shirt, just sweating my balls off on the sideline. I'll no matter what always represent the Coyote, just the Coyote community and the Coyote fan base and sports and all of it together.
All right, so I do want to cut in real quick just for a side announcement here. The Coyotes game against UND just got done, and the Coyotes did win 102-93.
Holy cow.
Let's go.
Barn burner.
So our new strategy is just raise people to 100.
First 200 wins.
First wins. That's awesome.
That's absolutely wild. And that's the team that took Alabama to the wire up in the same location. So we're top 5 now in the nation.
There you go.
I think we compare.
Just like shout out Mark Went with his science. Is my team better? Do you guys see that this week where USD is better than Ohio State? I love that stuff.
Oh yeah, the transitive property win.
I love this stuff.
Was that on Twitter?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good
the
stuff.
reason why USD is better than Ohio State.
It takes like 8 games to get there, but if you do it the transient property enough, you finally get there to where USD's better than Ohio State. So good. We had a comment too from
shorter.
We had a comment from R. Sukovati, by the way, too. If you want to throw his up there.
Yeah. So now, not a question to it, but I do want to show you this because this is something you should take pride in, JJ, because I know it's not just you. The whole team changed the way things were going. But these last 2 years, this is stuff that you guys have created. And I know there's a lot more Coyote fans out there than just Ray like this.
Yeah, so you see the impact, that you guys have had, not, and like you said, not just JJ, but the team in general. But he says this is my first season not missing a game. What a great season. Thank you. I think that's pretty much a lot of Coyote fans right now. That's how we're feeling.
I was gonna say, yeah, that just goes to show like the dedication and compassion that the Yotes fans have towards not just football, but I feel like the community and sports altogether. But thank you for that comment. Yeah, it's super cool just from my perspective to even just be on this podcast with you guys and be able to sit here, because I feel like we've known each other for a long time, but like never been able to sit down and have a conversation like this. So I'd appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody. And
I think we said this plenty of times. I told you this when I bumped into you after a few games too, that, it all comes back to you guys. You created all this. And it does lead me to one of my questions that I've been wanting to ask. 2 years ago, you guys get absolutely blown out by UNI to end the season. And then you flip it around. Not only do you change your guys' record around completely, but you go up above and beyond. First double-digit win season in USD history. What happened in that offseason?
To highlight that season that we weren't as successful, there was just like a lot of things that were going on. Obviously, after the second game, we lost our OC. Then we were trying to kind of rebound from that. And I don't think we ever really rebounded. We are always just trying to make things more simple with our offense, and nobody was on the same page. And it was just kind of like all over the place. And again, it just came down to we weren't playing truly as like a team. And that goes for not just the players, but like the coaches as well. And then, after that season, we had like all came together and we had like a really good off season preparing and training and stuff like that. And everybody stuck around. So I feel like that was also part of it, is that everybody was truly bought into the program and like had grit to come back and prove everybody wrong from the season before. And obviously with getting a Josh Davis on board as well, I feel like that was a huge help. We got a few other new coaches, Coach Nady, Coach Morrison, and this year Coach Vitsum. But it was just a nice refresher, just to again have everybody on board. And just once we started winning, it felt good, and we wanted to keep that. We didn't want to feel how we did before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How much credit for your success, JJ, do you give to Josh Davis? Because when he was hired as the OC and looking at where he came from and the fact that school had put tight ends in the NFL recently, when he was there. And so that's when I personally, as a fan, that's when I latched onto you, because I knew, A, I knew what potential you had, and B, I knew that the tight ends were going to be used pretty heavily in the offense, assuming he brought in some similar things that they were running. And so that's when I was like, okay, like JJ is going to shine in this. And so I just want to know, how much credit do you give to him, in your recent success? Because, you look at your stats the last 2 years, they were drastically, improved. And prior to you getting hurt against SDSU this year, you were on pace for 700 yards and I think maybe 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, a lot of credit goes to him. not just for coming in and bringing that offense with him, but also putting the trust in me. And within the first week or two that he was there, he flat out said to me, he was like, listen, this offense isn't easy, and we use tight ends a lot. And the position that you're playing, in my opinion, is probably the hardest in this offense. I mean, outside of having to do quarterback reads and stuff like that, just because you have to know how to line up at receiver, at tight end, sometimes in the backfield. Like there's so many different things you have to know, because then with all that being said too, you have to know all the run plays, all the pass plays. So
yeah, because you're setting the edge on a lot of those run plays.
Exactly. But he was a good guy. I really liked him. And I hope that relationship continues forever. But he was super funny too. He was just strictly business as well. I mean, we would always be able to joke around and stuff, but he's a really, really smart guy. But again, I'm grateful for him coming in, and again, like the trust and dedication that he brought, not just to the offense, but to the whole team.
And I hope that's what the NFL sees in you, because like you said, you I don't know, played 6 different positions. If you count all the different formations and stuff like that, like I hope that's what they see, because you're kind of the Swiss Army knife. You're kind of the hybrid of, in my opinion, kind of the best of all worlds.
Mm-hmm. And that's
a linebacker too.
And a linebacker, if you need him, we'll put him in on special teams. He'll go down and make the tackle.
Yeah, can we just send this to all 32 NFL teams right now?
Yeah, let's go. We'll clip it.
I don't remember what I was going to say. But yeah.
All right, so, and Mitch did bring it up. Obviously, this season you went down with an injury halfway through it against the Bunnies. But we got you back. Got to play in a couple games before the season ended. What was going through your mind getting back out on the field?
Honestly, I was just ready. I mean, when the injury happened initially, I mean, obviously I was down and I was upset about it once I figured out like the timeline that it could be. But I kind of had to put that aside for myself and also still be there for the team. I was still trying to, help out the tight ends and stuff, and also get healthy myself. So, I mean, it was, again, hard, but I loved being there for those guys. And then those last few games that I was back, it was actually super funny because my parents and my whole family were like so nervous. So that first game that I was back against, who was it? UC Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did them dirty, 2 touchdowns.
It was so funny because then my parents would always come up Friday at like around midday. So I'd get lunch with them and then I'd have dinner with them. And they were like asking me so many questions, like, are you ready? Like, do you think you're ready? What's it going to be like? How many plays are you going to be in for? Like, just bombarding me. And I was like, guys, it's okay. Like, it really will be okay. I'm limited with some of the stuff that I'm doing, but like, I trust where I'm at that I'll be safe, and like I wouldn't put myself in that position. And the team docs, they also said that too. They were like, you're ready. And if they're saying that, then I also trusted in them. And so I was trusting in them and the trainers and in the progression that I had in my recovery and rehab through that point in time. So when I first got out there, I was just so excited to be on the field again because I had been gone for so many weeks just watching on the sidelines. And yeah, my parents, I guess my dad was like before the game pacing back and forth, like in the stands, wasn't sitting with my family. He was just standing by the railing by himself, I guess, just so nervous. But I mean, I love that. I love that. That just goes to show like their care for me as well. And kind of, again, just the values and beliefs that they put in me, because I also care and trust in people. And I love the people that I'm surrounded with.
These guys know from our group text. I was the same way, dude. I was a wreck that week. These guys know. I don't want to repeat some of the stuff I said, but I was a little nervous, and I was just nervous for you. I was nervous for the offense. I was just everything.
But you were just nervous. That's all it was.
I was.
I was going to say too.
That was bad.
The timing too was kind of crazy as well, right? Because the UC Davis, like that was one of the teams where we had talked about on the show, and we're like, UC Davis is a contender, right? Like they're a good team. Mm-hmm. We need all hands on deck. So when you caught the very first touchdown of the game, I think Coyote fans all over like, oh man, our guy's back, right? Like this is big. This is good. That he's not just in as a decoy. He's not just in on, 2-3 plays here and there. Like he's back, and obviously made a huge impact on the game. So that was a lot of fun to see, because I know that was the talk of tailgate. That game is JJ coming back. So that was exciting for sure.
Yeah, because they put him on the what was it, like the midweek? I don't even remember what graphic it was, but he was on whatever graphic it was.
Showtime graphic.
Yeah, he was on that graphic, and we're like, oh, he's coming back.
Well, like I was gonna say, from my perspective, it was always so funny because our pregame warm-ups always happen in front of where you guys sit with the back-to-pack flag, and every week Mitch would be like, yo, so like what's the deal? What's going on? Like do you know when you're coming back? Like, do you know anything? And I was like always trying to give him like hope without giving false hope, and I was being true to what I was saying, but it was just funny.
I'm asking him how his cardio's going, staying in shape.
You did ask him,
it was a long, like 6 weeks.
Are you going to be good to come back for like a game? Like, how's your cardio?
Yeah. It was like 6 weeks, man. I just wanted to see you play again, well, at least one more time. And you're like, well, if we make a deep run, I'll be back.
I will say the UC Davis game, getting you back, obviously, I had fun in the tailgate coming in, but you got going. You scored your first one. I got pumped up. I was like, yes, he's back. He's ready to go. But then you scored your second one, and this is when I had the worst thing a fan has ever said to me in the crowd, because I lost my absolute mind on your second touchdown. I felt the wind coming. It was on the way, kind of thing. And the person behind me goes to my wife, is that JJ's dad? Is that why he's so excited? And I was just like, I'm 33. Come on. I just got ID coming in or going in.
That's awesome.
Hey, you should be honored.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm joking.
I'll take
That's
it.
when you just lean in. You're like, yes, I am.
Yes.
You should have
Just to really
paid it off. I'm actually his brother.
Yeah.
I think my wife was actually more offended because she realized then that she was secondary aged by these people. Not so much me, but her. Then it kind of full circled back onto her. I will say, though, your parents, I've got to meet both of them a few times. They're wild. They are awesome people.
Well, thank you.
Right, so we did have a couple more questions thrown in the chat here, and actually this is a fantastic one that I forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
That Portland State game, that was a whole ordeal. That was just absolutely wild. What was it like during that, before you found out, after you found out, and the mindset of the team?
Well, we were supposed to leave at like 10:15, and they scheduled a team meeting at 10:15. So everybody was like, okay, what's going on? Kind of like, this is new. We've never had this happen. Like, what happened? Mm-hmm. And then obviously Coach Nielsen came in and gave us the news, and some people were, super pissed off. Some people were just kind of like, this is wild. Like, are we in COVID again?
Right. PTSD.
And it was just like, emotions were all over. And then it was more about like, then everybody's question was like, okay, where do we go from here? Does this count as a win, a loss, like a forfeit, or what's going to happen from from that standpoint. And then obviously John Schemmel was working on that a lot and trying to just with the NCAA. I don't know. I still have mixed feelings about it. When I was there though, it was just so surreal. It was like, is this really happening? And like, I don't know. It's probably one of the craziest things that's ever happened. Like from that, I don't even know. Again, it's just surreal.
And then
one of the best jokes that came out of that though, Jake, was the about to get whooped cough.
About to get whooped cough, yes. Yeah. And so I do want to ask, just continuing on with that, after you guys got back, found out it wasn't going to be a forfeit, it was just a no contest. Did that really play into any thought process going into the next few games? Especially with seeding on the line for the playoffs, stuff like that.
I don't think so. I mean, even when we got back, we had a team meeting, and I mean, Coach Nielsen was just kind of like, we can't control what happened, and it sucks, and I'm pissed off too. But again, there's nothing that we can do to control what happened. So tomorrow we're going to come back in, and we're gonna just do our normal prep for this upcoming week and put this behind us, and we can only move forward from here. So
so good.
And that was always that was always a consensus, was a win or loss. Like the next week, it's behind us. It doesn't matter what happened. It's the next week and what our goal was, and that was to win a conference championship, and then from there to win a national championship. So, I mean, I feel like for the first 5 days to a week, guys were, I would probably say more 3 to 5 days, guys were still kind of like had emotions about it. But I feel like quickly passed.
Are you going to be there in 2030 when they come back to Vermilion then?
Well, I would love to, but hopefully I'll be
playing
at that point in time.
That'll be your that'll be your bye.
There you go, bye week.
So if I have the opportunity to, I would love to, and they better kick some ass. So that's all I'm
Sure.
saying. We're gonna whoop it, is what we'll do. All right, so we had one other question come in, and it's pertaining to that Montana State game. How big was the field advantage, the home field advantage for them?
I would say it played a part in some of that game and how certain things went. It was loud there. It was so loud. Yeah. I'll probably put that in the top close to 3 loudest places I've played in. I mean, even at Wisconsin and Mizzou, which I never thought my top 3 aren't even Wisconsin, Mizzou, Kansas State, or KU. My top 3 were the Fargo Dome, University of Montana, and probably Montana State were the loudest environments I've ever played in. And yeah, I mean, it definitely played a big part, and just the offensive side, I would say. There was a few miscommunications with when the snap was supposed to go, especially when we were close to the red zone or in the red zone. So it kind of sucked from that side of things, but I mean, that's part of the game, and we knew it was going to be loud, and that was just one thing that, we weren't on our A game at that point in time. And then actually a little bit, it's funny I say this being from Colorado because there's a high elevation. The elevation at that game actually, I feel like, affected me a little bit too, because
it's real.
There was a few times in the game where I threw up like on the sidelines, probably like 5 or 6 times I threw up on the sidelines.
Interesting.
Good Lord.
And I don't know if that was just a travel or like the true elevation of it, but I consider it to be some of the elevation.
Well, I think you see it in the NFL, and I'm sure it's true for the colleges too, but like when teams go to Denver, Like there's a real impact there, and I think it wears the longer the game goes too. You might not feel it right away, but by like third, fourth quarter, that's when you really start feeling it. And for Montana State, you know, what were they, like 400 or 500 feet below Denver? I think we looked that up leading up to that game, but they're comparable. So,
and it doesn't just affect like your breathing; it affects your fatigue as well, like in your muscles and stuff like that. So, that was my experience from that second part. I'm not sure. I remember hearing maybe one or two other guys talking a little bit about the elevation, but I feel like the biggest key takeaway was the noise.
You guys didn't get any of Coach Petey's beet juice that he talks about for men's basketball?
We got beet juice too. I had a few cups. We had it the day before we left, and then they also handed us some the night before the game, and then before the game.
Interesting. Yeah, Coach Petey swears by that, the beet juice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's really good.
Maybe that made you stomach sick. That's why you're puking.
Yeah, maybe too many beats, not the elevation. There you go.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Oh, that's funny.
You just reminded me too. I totally forgot that you were here for when we played Kansas. How did it feel to have a P5 school storm the field after beating you?
I mean,
sorry, Kansas is
well,
which you guys should have won too.
I was just gonna say that was a game that was easily winnable, but screw them. That's all I have.
That was and I came down to like the final 2 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah,
I remember it.
Yeah.
We were
I had totally forgotten about that, but you're right. They put on it was on Sports Center, and even people in Sports Center were shaking their head a little bit. All right,
what is this for?
All right, very strange.
Hey, before we wrap this up, I have to ask JJ a question about school, since he is and was a student athlete. Did you major in criminal justice? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have Professor Roach at all?
No, he retired. I think a few years ago, and so I never had the opportunity to have him. But when I came on my official visit, I toured the campus and stuff, and I was able to meet him and talk a little bit about like the criminal justice major.
Okay.
And he seemed pretty cool, and I always heard so many good things about him. And Jack Cochran had him, and he said good things about him as well.
So like an idiot, being a business major, I opted for 2 semesters of criminal justice just as an elective, and I had him. And if you aced one of his exams, you got to light up a cigar in the class and smoke it during the next class after the exam when he handed out the grades.
That is sweet.
Yeah. He was so cool. That. His stories were unbelievable.
So you never got to light a cigar?
I missed it. The best I had was a 99. Oh. I freaking missed it. I was so mad.
So you had to get 100%.
You had to get 100%, yeah. And not to brag, but I did set the curve in that class a couple times. But no, I missed it. The closest I was 99, and he wouldn't curve it up 1% to get me there.
Oh.
You got to earn it.
Yeah, you got to earn that perfect. Yep. So. Anyway, no, criminal justice that's no joke too. Like that's a legit major compared to some of the others out there. So.
Yeah, I had a good time with it though.
And you said you mentioned masters too. You were working on that?
Yeah, so I started my master's in interdisciplinary studies, and I was kind of drained out from some of the criminal justice, so I focused on psychology and nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a nice little change up. I'm not doing any school right now, so I can just solely focus on what's going on right now and in front of me, and put all my time and dedication towards that. But it's nice to have like a few credits in case I ever want to come back and try and get a master's.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. So we'll leave you with one last question, JJ. In your entire time in Vermilion, when it came down time to go out for some dinner, where's your go-to place? And you have to answer this very carefully. Either divide or strengthen you as a top-tier coyote.
Are you saying like true dinner?
What your go-to? Like if you're starving and that's your one place that you could eat, it's got to be that one place.
I will say Hartford is a great place to go, but it could get like, I don't know, it could get old easy. But I would probably say do you count Wimps as being
I do.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Vermilion, so I absolutely count Wimps.
If you count it in Vermilion, I would probably say Wimps.
It counts.
If you don't, I would probably say Brick House.
Okay. I will say a true coyote knows about Wimps, so we'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
That is a wonderful surprise wrench that nobody's really thrown out there. You're the first one on that one. So
they still have all you can eat spaghetti night?
Yeah, I think it's every Wednesday or Thursday or something like that.
We used to hit that up. It was like $5 for all you could eat.
With the haunted church right across the street.
Yeah.
They have great burgers there.
Okay.
And I was in between my decision with Brick House and like OLC because I know Brick House like recently within the last year or two kind of switched up their menu, or they got like a new chef and they were cooking their meals a little bit different. So that's why I was kind of in between, but they still have really good food.
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome.
All right, you guys got anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you for literally everything and best
wishes. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
You're good. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Best wishes, and can't wait to follow you, on the rest of your journey.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, I appreciate not just you guys, but the whole support of like the Coyote Nation and the fan base that goes behind it. But I really do appreciate you guys too so much. And it's been great, like being able to develop a friendship and relationship with you guys and being able to talk and hang out after games, just in the stands and stuff like that. So thank you so much.
Hey, good luck, JJ. We know you're going to crush it. Coyote Nation's behind you, though.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Give the boys a hello too.
I will. Yeah. I will. I'll see him bright and early tomorrow. So I'll make sure to tell him.
Rock on.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.